You are listening to the Ditch the Budget podcast, and I am your host, Heidi Ramore. I'm a wife, a mom of 2 young boys, and I've spent the last 17 years in financial services as a licensed financial planner, insurance specialist, and debt crusher. My goal is to show you that there's more to life than counting calories and paying bills, and that you truly can get out of debt and build wealth without the restrictive budgets and complicated spreadsheets. So if you're ready to reduce your financial stress and truly live the life of your dreams, then tune in and let's do this. Welcome back to another episode of the Ditch the Budget podcast. Hello, everybody. All right. I wanted to have this conversation a long time ago and it just didn't work out. That's just sometimes how it rolls around here. Okay, so good debt versus bad debt. I want to hear from you if you've ever classified your debt as good or bad. I know at some point I had done the same thing. And of course, there is, I guess I'll call it better leverage debt than good debt versus bad debt. So first of all, let me talk about what is traditionally seen as good debt. Okay, so good debt would be things like your student loan, maybe a car loan, a mortgage. That would be seen as socially acceptable good debt. And then we have the bad debt, the Visa card debt, the line of credit, the payday loans, right? I'm trying to think if there's anything else, like the personal loans that you might have. And so we tend to classify good debt versus bad debt. And we do that as human beings, first of all, I think to keep ourselves safe around money. And, you know, when I'm working with clients and we go through their sources of debt, if somebody doesn't have the bad debt and I ask them, are you in debt? They'll say no. And then I find out that they have a car loan and they have a mortgage on their home. But they don't associate that as debt, right? Because they need a car, they need to live somewhere. And so I think we have this categorization that happens internally so that it makes us feel more comfortable with the debt. And really at the end of the day, debt is debt. Or if it's good debt, if it's bad debt, it doesn't really matter. What matters is it manageable? And that's really the question you need to be asking yourself. So if you are just not able to fund your lifestyle, and that is really racking up the line of credit debt, really racking up the Visa debt, then that is bad debt, right? It's not that it's on a Visa card or on a line of credit that makes it good or bad. It's why it's there in the first place. So what I oftentimes see is people will refinance their debt into their mortgage, which is a great strategy, right? You're using your asset, which is your home. And if you have available room, you are putting a higher cost debt, which is Visa line of credits most of the time. You're putting that debt inside of a lower cost debt vehicle, which is your mortgage. So great strategy on the surface. If we really dig down, it might not be the best scenario for you. And the reason why I say that is because now in your mind, you've taken all of that consumer debt and you've tucked it into your mortgage, right? I keep doing this. To me, it's like you're stuffing it in the attic and you're shutting the door and you're not looking at it and it's pretending like it doesn't exist, because now you've transformed that bad debt into good debt. Now you feel good, you can sleep at night, when in fact, you might not have actually addressed the issue. And that is, why was the debt there in the first place? You know, for some of you, you might be easily able to identify, oh, well, that was because I lost my job, or that was because I needed new brakes on my car and I didn't have the savings for it. There could be a specific reason. But even in that, I would say strip that down even further and really look at, well, why? Why wasn't there an emergency fund? What's happening in your finances that you're not able to absorb some of those costs of just life that happens. So I think it's really taking more of a macro look at it instead of, piecemealing good debt versus bad debt. Because I could argue that, $125,000 student loan for a job that's going to make you $30,000 might not be a good debt. But because it's called a student loan, we feel better about it. Really what you should be looking at is not whether you're categorizing it as good or bad, and not even really the interest rate, because interest rate could be arbitrary, right? It doesn't it doesn't really matter. What matters is it manageable, and are you reaching your financial goals? So if the answer to those two questions, is it manageable and are you reaching your financial goals? If the answer to those two questions are no, it's not manageable, and no, you're not reaching your financial goals, that's when you have to really take a hard look at it. So if you're in that situation where you're not sure, you're just not sure, right? I think definitely book a call. Let's have a chat. There's no cost to do so. We can just have a conversation and see if, there's merit in working together to figure out what's the best way that we can make that debt manageable. And also we can reach your financial goals. Because at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. If you are somebody that has put debt on a Visa card and then you've refinanced and now it's in the mortgage. And then 5 years later, you're doing the same thing. And then 5 years later, you're doing the same thing. We have a problem, right? You haven't solved the problem. You've just put a Band-Aid solution over the situation. So I really encourage you to try as hard as you can to stop classifying debt as good or bad. It just is. And there's different uses for different types of credit. I might even argue that a line of credit is a better debt than a mortgage. And so if you're interested in why I think that, you should definitely book a call with me. So I hope this was helpful. Really look at, is the debt manageable? Am I reaching my financial goals? And then if you feel like there's some room for improvement, that's really where I would start. Stop beating yourself up about having Visa debt, having line of credit debt, having a personal loan debt. Unless you can return it, there's no sense in really worrying yourself with it. What you should be doing is, let's draw a line in the sand, right? Let's really draw that line in the sand. And what I mean by that is, let the debt be in the past, right? Let's draw that line in the sand. Let's make a plan to handle it. And then going forward, let's make sure that our expenses, our income, the things that we're saving for, like sinking funds, our goals, our dreams, are all funded with proper cash flow. All comes down to cash flow. So hopefully this was helpful for you. I'd love to hear from you if you've ever classified debt as good or bad, and if this kind of resonated with you. I know for a lot of my clients, it definitely resonates, thinking about debt in a different way. And I don't think debt is bad. It can be bad, but I don't think debt is bad as long as it's used as a tool to get to your financial goals. So hopefully have a great rest of your day, and we will talk soon. Bye, everyone.
If you found today's episode valuable, please take a screenshot, throw it up on your stories, tag me at Heidi Rumor, DM me on Instagram, find me on Facebook. I am here for all of the things. And I will see you next time on the next episode of Ditch the Budget.